Yes, everybody, welcome back to the United Viewer YouTube channel. We are here with episode 58 of What the Devil. Me, Dylan from United. Yusuf, my loyal companion on this podcast over the last 16 months or so. But we're going to get straight into talking about the last, well, really, film 2 weeks ago. We've had the Nottingham Forest game, the Manchester derby, the Lyon game coming up. We've had Onana spatting with Matic. We've had all the transfer rumours about Delap, Osimhen, Cunha, all of that. But I want to start by speaking about the Delap, Osimhen transfer stuff. So basically, the situation seems to be that you've got United want a new striker, and I think a lot of people agree that Osimhen may be, if you take strip all context, the best player to put in that position to bring in the summer. Out of the people available, because great goal scorer, proven track record, all of that stuff. But 55 to 60 million pound signing plus an incredible amount of wages. I think in excess gross about 300k a week he wants, according to various different reports. Whereas Delap, Premier League proven, over 100 games in English football over the last 3-4 seasons, 22 years old, so obviously got more room to grow. 12 goals this season. £30 million alleged release clause if Ipswich go down, which is pretty much certain. So he's got 40 million release clause in his contract, but that drops to 30 if Ipswich go down, is what the Guardian claimed yesterday. And I'm going to put forward the argument, and this is something that I'm crediting Alice Talks Football for this, because she put this in my mind, is that I actually reckon Delap might be a better signing for United than Osimhen if it also allows us to spend more money elsewhere on a quality number 10. But because you've got the whole argument of Delap unproven versus Osimhen more proven. But I don't mind someone like Delap coming in and being another striker option if we bring in a more experienced number 10. For example, Cunha from Wolves, which is why I've put him on the screen here. Because I think if we sign Osimhen, it means we can't really sign someone like Cunha for the 10 spot. Or someone like Yildiz or someone for the 10 spot. Because they are going to cost more money. Whereas if we were to sign Delap, it's maybe, yes, a little less immediate experience, but you could then bring in someone more experienced who can play in the striker role or number 10, like Cunha.
See, the thing is, I actually think that 9 is where we need more experience than the 10, to be honest. That's where I'd, disagree a bit. I think, can I ask a question? With just Delap coming in up front, are there any outgoings up front, or is it just bringing in Delap? And then you've got Delap and Højlund, you kind of make Xerxes a 10 permanently.
So I know there have been some rumours. So this morning it came out that, Højlund is attracting genuine interest from Serie A clubs. Yeah. And there obviously is questions. I don't think Xerxes is going. I don't see why we would sell him. I think he's good. I like Xerxes. I think he's really improving as a player. And I do see his best position as one of those number 10s.
I think he's been brilliant in the 10.
I think he's been great. He needs to add some more final product to his game. But I think, I kind of hope that'll come once United have had a pre-season and all of that, and he just grows in confidence as a player and grows as a player in general. And I know I don't see, like, this is assuming, that we keep everyone we have at the moment, and then also bring in Delap, because the person I see as most likely to go out of all the forwards, bar Eriksen, is Garnacho. Yeah. I just feel like he fits the least out of all of them. Kobbie Mainoo is obviously now coming back. He's in the squad against Lyon. We've got, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, that's the one I was going to say. Mason Mount, Kobbie Mainoo, Xerxes for the number 10 positions. Yeah. And then Eriksen going, and then I just think Garnacho could go. I really think that is a genuine option. Yeah. And then I would like to see Garnacho replaced by someone with a bit more experience and a bit more suitability to the slightly more inside roles. Oh, Ahmad as well, sorry. Yeah, Ahmad as well. Obviously, Ahmad's both wing back and right number 10 option. But I don't know, I just kind of, if we get a striker in, because I was looking at Delap's stats this morning in terms of how much football he's played. And at 22, played 100 games, which is more than Højlund played when Højlund joined us. Højlund was at about 85, 87 games. Yeah. Xerxes was at 127, but the thing about Delap is there were 100 games, 109 games I believe it was, in English football. Yeah. He had 5,000 minutes or something in English football specifically, which I think really, really, really...
It helps, but at the same time, the highest level of English football he's played is relegation Ipswich, which is not like a diss, but I think there's a big jump from that to Manchester United in terms of pressure, and that's where I just think like we need experience. So you look at the attack and how it's made up right now. Almost, if we remove Bruno Fernandes as an attacker, if we count him and Mount as midfielders more so, our most experienced attacker is Rashford, who is gone. Sancho is gone, and he's, again, one of our more experienced attackers. Anthony, I mean, he's rubbish anyways, but he's gone. So you've got Xerxes then, who's 23. Højlund's 22. Ahmad's 22. Garnacho is 20. So that's like our oldest player being Xerxes, who we all see as a player who still needs to develop a bit and is still like quite young, is in my opinion concerning. So you add another 22-year-old to the mix. I just question who is guiding these players, and even in the context of Delap. So I was speaking to a good friend of mine, and he is really, really knowledgeable of the EFL pyramid as a whole at HC Football 01, if anyone's interested. He is a big, big fan of Delap, but he was saying in his previous 3 loans before he went to Ipswich, he was really, really raw. Now at Ipswich, he's taken a big jump because he's had that coaching. Still developing to be done, but if he comes to United, still needing developing, is he going to get that development, or is it going to be, right, you're in the deep end now, go make something happen? Because that was what happened with Højlund. Højlund, we were talking about him, this really, really big talent. He needed to develop this really big talent. He's come and he's been thrown in the deep end, and we all kind of agreed. I mean, I remember writing a scout report for us on the old website on Højlund and saying we need somebody more experienced to like help him settle in a little bit. We never got that. And, you know, now, look, like he's struggling from being thrown in the deep end. It's not to say Delap will necessarily struggle, because Delap right now is a bit further along than Højlund was when we signed him, and a bit further along than Højlund now, but it's the same concept of a talented player who needs that support. Who is guiding these players is my question. Who is going to, you know, be that senior figure to just, you know, put an arm around you, show you the kind of things, the ins and outs of the game that you picked up from like being around for years. Even in the past under Sir Alex Ferguson, we would sign young players. We had older players to help guide them through the process. So when we signed Wayne Rooney, for example, Ruud van Nistelrooy was there. So that's where, like, my question is, who is going to guide these players, and are they going to get that coaching, or is it going to be a case of, right, there's pressure, we need to like just get it done, and here you go, throw in the deep end?
I've got 2 things. One is a piece of trivia I want to see if you know, because I found this out this morning. Do you know who Liam Delap's attacking coach is at Ipswich?
Attacking coach, isn't it? Lee Grant.
It's Lee Grant.
It's Lee Grant.
I find that, I don't know, I've realised this morning. It's Lee Grant.
I remember reading
ex-Man United and Stoke goalkeeper.
I remember reading an Athletic article about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
it's just, I just find that very funny. How he's got one ex-United player and also Kieran McKenna, ex-United coach, both with him at Ipswich. But then secondly is, I do really get the point about, someone needing, like, these players needing people to guide them. But I think in this circumstance, because of Delap's track record so far as someone playing in English football, I don't necessarily think he will need the guidance as much as others, hopefully, because he's showing himself already, admittedly at a relegation level team, where I would say there's pressure. He's playing in Premier League football. There is pressure there,
but
right?
Like Man United pressure is different.
No, I know, I get that, but what was I going to say? It's like, oh yeah, because the other thing is you talk about who's going to lead that line, or who's going to like help these players with some experience and stuff. Is I think that if you sign Delap and are therefore able to grab, I'm specifically talking about Cunha here. Why can't he be that kind of person? Because he's played at Atletico Madrid, he's played at Wolves for a couple of seasons, he's shown himself to be a fantastic player. He's around about the age now that Bruno Fernandes was when we signed Bruno Fernandes, about 25, turning 26 years old. Cunha is at the moment, and obviously Bruno Fernandes came in, was a leader. I'm not saying that they're both Cunha will turn out just like Bruno Fernandes, but I do feel like if you were to bring in Osimhen, I get it, you've got the leader who can show Højlund a bit more, all of that, and also bring guaranteed goals. And then you're then limiting yourself signing someone who can play across that front three. So Cunha, right? He can play on the left, on the right, and as the striker. How well? Obviously, he'll be better in one position or the other position, probably better on the left. But he's played at striker. He can play at striker and stuff. And I feel like being able to spend 90 million on Delap and Cunha to have someone who's experienced at both creating goals and scoring goals in Cunha, and also Delap, who's showing himself to be someone who's really confident in himself, in his abilities, playing for relegated and Ipswich. Like some of the goals that Delap has scored, especially of late, right? He's got a lot of swagger and confidence about him, which is something that what Amorim said before in Højlund lacks, right? Yeah. Højlund, when he's not playing the game, when he's not got the ball at his feet, he's like almost over searching for that goal, and that causes him to collapse a little bit mentally.
Too much.
Huh?
He thinks about it too much.
Exactly.
And even when you look at the run as a whole, so this most recent run he's been on where he's not been scoring goals, at the start of it, he was actually playing really well and getting chances. So that it was the City game, which was the first game that he didn't score in, the one we won. He almost set up a brilliant goal for Bruno Fernandes. Bruno really should have finished it. Like, took the ball on the turn, played a brilliant through ball. He should have had. I really don't know how that wasn't a penalty. I'll be honest. You know the one where I literally don't know how that wasn't a penalty. But then against Liverpool, he had a really good opportunity to score. He had a good opportunity to score. He just, the Liverpool one was difficult. He should have put it away still, but difficult against Alisson from that angle. But then as time went on, he just started struggling more and more and more, and it just got worse and worse and worse, basically.
Yeah.
And again, another friend of mine I was speaking to, like, we were talking about, he said, what you can see is Højlund's trying really, really hard to get out of fear state and get playing in flow state again. Obviously, like, fear state, he's just, like, almost scared to make a mistake, and he's in that, like, phase right now, he's just thinking about it too much, his fear, but, like, he's desperate to get back into that state. And he even said after he scored the Leicester goal, like, I've been working on myself mentally. So, like, it is... sorry, I lost track of thought for a second. I see, it's definitely, like, the confidence is a big thing with him, and that's something he himself has said he's been working on. But Delap does have a lot of kind of swagger about him, although I can't lie, ever since he tried to body Ugarte 4 times and failed, I've literally just been thinking, oh my God, no, like, how? Like, I can't, that kind of put me off a little bit, I'll be honest.
I don't know, I really feel like people are to some extent attributing Højlund's fails to Delap as if it's going to happen again.
See, for me, it's less about, or for more like we've seen the cycle so much with this club now, where we bring in these talented players who still need some help and they actually get harmed by it. And I just kind of want somebody who I feel is a bit more of a guarantee, which is where, and also because I look at my point about the attack already being quite a young attack, I feel like we need to get some experience in that attack.
Yeah. So the comments, a couple of them are talking about, obviously, what we've been speaking about, Højlund versus Delap. Osimhen versus Delap. And I do want to put out there that in an ideal world, I would like to see us sign Osimhen over Delap. Yeah. I am slightly just playing devil's advocate here, advocating for Delap. But in an ideal world, I agree. I would like to see us get Osimhen and Cunha. But the way that it's all structuring and kind of the way the window seems to be heading with our lack of funds and uncertainty and stuff, I would rather get Cunha and Delap than just Osimhen.
I'm also going to say, I'm actually not on board with Cunha that much either.
You're not?
No, I think he's a very good player, and I think he fits.
I really like him.
I think he fits now, but I think when we get good, he won't fit, because I think, like you said, he's a very niche player. I've said before, he's a very niche player. So you said he can play in all these different positions, but he needs the same role. So like if he plays up front, he needs the same role as he would if he was playing in the left 10 or the right 10. He needs like that one role to really thrive. And Wolves have kind of found him that role, but he almost, not in terms of play style, but in terms of like, the level of responsibility he reminds me a little bit of Villa Grealish, in that he really thrives as like a team's main man. And I think he'd be really good at like a good Europa team's main man. But I think United need to be more than that. I think we need somebody who just has a little bit more genuine versatility about them, as well as having that style quality, because he's clearly got brilliant quality. Like he can dribble, he can create, he can score. He's got a lot of very likeable traits, but I just think we need like someone who doesn't fit a system, someone who can fit whatever system you want because of how good they are.
So if I change my argument, because this is the overall point I want to make, from Cunha to just versatile forward. So that could be Cunha, that could be bringing someone like Burma or something, or someone from a different league. Like just someone who's a bit more a profile that can play maybe across the both three or in both 10 positions. What I'm saying is that all the comments are speaking about, and in general people talking about this in the United stratosphere, is they're saying the word proven all the time, right? It's proven winner, proven goal scorer, guaranteed goals, all these
There's
kind of
no
words.
guarantee in football.
Yes, that's true. But what I'm kind of saying is an issue that I think we've seen in the last couple of games especially, and also just throughout Amram's tenure, is the lack of consistent creativity.
Yeah.
Right? More so necessarily than the lack of consistent goals.
Yeah.
Because you can't, unless, bar like some goals, like I know Osimhen does score goals at this times, but unless you have a constant creativity from your team, no one is going to score guaranteed goals, right? So you put Osimhen in the situations that we've had, he'll probably score more goals than, for example, Højlund has scored overall this season. I think Højlund's got 8 or 9 this season.
Yeah.
Osimhen will probably have more, but Osimhen won't have 25 goals. 30 goals, which I think everyone's just kind of thinking, okay, plop him in there and we're fine. So what I do want us to see is, although, yes, signing a proven goal scorer, or what's the better word for it? Experienced goal scorer would be good. We also really, really, really need an experienced creator in this team
I agree
as
with
well.
that as well, to be fair.
Which is why I'm saying if we were to get Delap for 30 million and forego signing Osimhen, but then that extra 25, 30 million we save goes towards someone who can genuinely create for us consistently, and obviously will therefore bring, because creators good with the ball at their feet, so as well they'll be actually creating, they'd knit the team together better. Yeah. Like for example, Garnacho never passing to Dorgu, or
to be fair, I will
linking
say
stuff together.
Ahmad coming back.
It will be big. But I just kind of feel if we can sign someone like Delap for 30 million, which I think is an absolute bargain for the player who he can become.
It's a great deal.
And then use that money to bring in probably more expensive, better, more experienced creator who can play in the wide 10 positions, that I think is a much better and more efficient way of spending the money than just forking out a £25 million contract plus 60 million for Osimhen.
It really depends on sales, to be honest, because if you sell, say, both Rashford and Garnacho, for example, I hate myself using this term, the pure profit, allows us to spend probably quite a lot of money. So if you were to sell both of them, and it looks like it's a possibility we might sell both of them, you could go out and buy Osimhen and like
But both of them you're saying Garnacho and
Rashford.
Rashford, okay.
Yeah, if we were to sell both of them, for example, you could probably go out and get like a creator and a goal and an Osimhen.
Maybe. I don't see.
It really depends on sales, to be honest.
I really don't see the Osimhen transfer happening unless we can pull some ridiculous money out of the bag.
Okay. Chris Wood to Man United train, let's get on it.
I've been banging on about Delap, and I've been banging on about Chris Wood for about 2.5 months on this podcast, I think now. Chris Wood more is a slight joke, but at the same time as well, Chris Wood I really like him.
The thing is, I unironically think he'd be good.
I think it massively helps. Like we signed Eddie Cavani at 34, right? Yeah. Chris Wood's what, 33?
Yeah.
Lewandowski, I'm not saying he's as good, but Lewandowski just scored his 40th goal of the season at 36. Like, I do feel like there is a certain stigma against players once they hit 30.
Yeah.
And I know United don't want to sign these big players, but someone like Chris Wood, I think it'd be great.
These older strikers they bring a little bit more of a guarantee, and they help the younger strikers settle in a little bit. Like
I agree.
You don't necessarily need to set the world on fire, but you're getting Cavani. I've always said if we signed like that version of Cavani at the time we signed Højlund, we'd be a better team.
Yeah, 100%.
Højlund would be a better player.
100%. So pose this to you. I don't know how much Chris Wood would cost, but I can't imagine it would be more than like 30, right, max.
Yeah.
But
I also saw like Forest linked to Gyökeres a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so. They have been. Yeah, they are interested in him, and they're also, I think, who else were Forest are interested in? Can't remember. But okay, so let's say we would be able to spend 65 million on buying Delap and Wood. Is that better than spending that 65 just on Osimhen? Complete hypothetical here.
That's a difficult one
because of the overall impact that might have on the squad long term.
I think Wood and Delap would be a great combination for us, but okay, I don't want to let go of Højlund either.
Yeah, no. I'm saying we'd have all three.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, but then could it also then be a case of too many cooks in the kitchen? You probably, if you get Wood, Delap, and Højlund, you probably send Højlund out on loan.
Oh,
that's probably what happens in that case, or he gets sold. I just don't see us having all three as strikers.
yeah. Or to be fair, Højlund alone, I wouldn't be overly against that because
Well, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I do wonder.
The first thing that comes to my mind is Dalot.
Yeah.
We bought Dalot and it didn't quite work for him the first couple of years as a young player.
Well.
We sent him on loan to AC Milan. He learned so much, and then he came back and now, like in the last 3 years, he's been probably one of our most consistent players in terms of availability.
Ahmad really benefited from a loan as well. Ahmad really benefited from a loan as well.
I feel like if Højlund was to go on loan, that would be branded as, okay, he's failed as a signing.
It wouldn't necessarily be the case.
I don't think that'll be a case at all, but I think that's how it would be perceived initially. But it could be a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of, either it goes brilliantly or he loses all his confidence and it goes south. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that, but I think Osimhen is he's the best player we can get and is the best he's the closest to a guarantee of goals.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't see it happening unless we fail to sign another player and we end up with extra money in the bank kind of thing.
I think the money's too much for Ineos, to be honest. Affordabilities and what they want to spend.
I don't think the transfer fee is too much. So ESPN said yesterday that he's available for 55.
Mm-hmm.
So his release clause is 63. But Romano came out about a week ago and said that Napoli are willing to negotiate because they want him gone ASAP. Yeah. They want him gone within the first couple of weeks of the window. They're not holding out for money. They want him gone, they want it resolved, they want everything, they want him just in the past. And then ESPN have come out and said he's available for £55.5 million. I don't think that transfer fee is too out of United's reach.
Yeah, see,
I think the wages of plus 300 plus a week are out of our reach.
I think if you could negotiate wages, that'd be good. But the thing is, I just think Ineos wouldn't want to spend that much. Is where I say the money's too much. Not as about what we can afford. I think it's just too much for what they want. But yeah, I mean, look, there's good options out there. I just hope we make the right decision because, like I say, I really am concerned about the lack of experience in the team and in the attack, especially. And I think that is just something that matters more than a lot of people realise.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I want to move on to the Lyon game, right? And speaking a little bit about the whole Onana and Matic thing. So obviously, for starters, I am so up for this game this evening. So obviously, kickoff 8 p.m. It's in kickoff's in about 7 hours.
I can't wait.
7 hours. I'm so excited for this, man. Literally, after watching the Arsenal game on Tuesday and then the Villa game last night, I'm just thinking European ties are breathing so much life back into football. And considering how much this game means to both these clubs, because obviously we're in our financial thing, we need the Champions League next season. Lyon they're in a mess.
Oh, they're
Lyon are in
really bad.
Like a mess. I think they were provisionally relegated or something, but I think that's been reversed. But it's still very much on the cards for them to be forcefully relegated from League One because their finances are in such a state. So they need Champions League football, man, badly, really badly. They're 5th in League One, so there's a chance they could still climb into Champions League spots through the league. But they need it. Matic has been saying that. But the back and forth, I think, from Matic and Onana, I know that United fans have been using it as a stick to beat Onana with a bit because Onana's have been under poor form. Matic has obviously come out firing Jose Mourinho-esque shots, having played for Mourinho, for 8 of his 10, 15 professional seasons or whatever. But I actually think Matic has made a bit of a mistake here. Yeah. Because we've always looked good under Amorim, pretty much always looked good when we've actually had something to fight for, which is a good thing and also a criticism. It means when we haven't had something to fight for, we've looked lacklustre, we've looked like a lack of urgency. But when we've had City away, Liverpool in the new year, Arsenal away in the FA Cup, and these other kind of games, or fighting back against 1-0 down against Southampton, these other games, where we've looked to properly turn it on. Leicester in the FA Cup when we went 2-0 down to Ipswich or whatever it was. But just a load of these games where we've even within moments of games or in the build-up to games when we've had something to fight for, we've turned it on and we've looked good.
And someone like Onana is a very big character in that regard as well. Where he wants to come out fighting.
And I'm sure Onana his all the reports say, as you said, big character in the dressing room. I think very well liked, in the dressing room as well. So if he stood there in the dressing room going right, lads, we need to fucking do one over all these guys. All of these guys now after what's been said. The rest of the United team are going to fight for him.
Yeah.
And like Matic, I think, has poured fuel on a fire that he really shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I like Matic, and when he was at United, I thought, obviously, he declined towards the end a bit, like what we're seeing with Casemiro now. But I think at times, especially in the first couple of seasons, he was fantastic for us. Great guy, all of that. Ex-teammate Amorim's as well, which I find... There's a point where Lindelof, Matic and Amorim were in the same team at Benfica.
Oh my God, that is
for
so
like a
funny to
season.
think about.
Is that Lindelof was just coming up at Benfica, Amorim was towards the end of his time at Benfica, and Matic was like there in like kind of early days before he moved to Chelsea. That's so funny.
It's so funny.
It's really bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, I just feel like as much as Onana's had his faults, when he speaks in the media, he tends to back it up.
100%.
And Matic, if he starts tonight or comes off the bench, he's going to be dealing with Bruno Fernandes. And I feel like Bruno might run rings around him if Bruno's feeling on form on a classic Europa League night for him. Mason Mount could be starting as well, which I'm going to get onto in a minute. But yeah, I just feel like I really like this because it's given the tie jeopardy. I think Matic has backed his team into a corner a little bit.
It's a nice drama. Like, you know,
yeah, I like it.
You love it. Like, but yeah, no, I think Onana probably shouldn't have said we're a better team than Lyon, but like I get him wanting to like big us up and stuff and like be confident about this tie. Then Matic saying he's one of the worst goalkeepers in Man United history, he shouldn't be talking. Okay, like it's disrespectful, but he's going to spark fire. And like you said, Onana backs himself up when he talks to the media.
He does, almost every time.
And if Onana keeps a clean sheet, all right, he's going to come out and say something again. I guarantee he's going to come out and like, he's going to say something. And I think it's going to just be like a really interesting tie. And I think the second leg being at Old Trafford makes it even more interesting. So, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to have to ditch you for next week's podcast. I'm going to be up there.
Are you going out to Manchester?
Yeah, I'm going to have to ditch you for next week's podcast.
Congrats,
so,
good seats.
I can't wait, but I think like, yeah, we've set up for like a really interesting tie here. And you know what? As much as I don't like the new format in terms of how big a change it is and like how many more games it is, the way it's set up has made the Europa League a little bit more interesting.
It does. I think like as well, because so many fans have written this season off, right? When we were in like kind of mid-February losing to Crystal Palace and we got all the injuries and everyone was like, right, this season is over. This has breathed some proper life back into it. Like obviously, this Europa League, right? This is it for us. This is it this season, right? We go out to Lyon, we're finished. Not forever, but like, I remember seeing someone the other day or a couple of weeks ago saying that us winning the Europa League or not either leaps forward or sets us back a season.
Yeah.
Which I really agree with.
100%.
Because if we don't qualify for the Champions League this season,
we're very behind.
We're behind, but I also think we'll be able to qualify next season because no European football. Amorim will have pre-season, have his time, and I believe Amorim because he's been saying it so much in the last week or two. He's been saying we will improve so much next season. He's been saying it constantly, and I agree with him, and I hope he's right. So if we were to have no European football next season, playing once a week in the league plus the FA Cups and Carabao Cup and whatever, he'll have time to get back into that top four, that top five, if it's top five again next season. But if we win the Europa League this season, we're back in the Champions League. That gives us a massive edge on transfers. It gives us, I think, it's like...
And also like having Champions League football to like attract players as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But, and then also I think Champions League football, if I get this right, it's about 80 to 85 million extra the club will earn. And that's not what the club will get for qualifying, but in terms of like the revenue that you get from winning the Europa League, the guaranteed 8 games in the league stages, plus home match revenues and stuff, I think it equates to about an extra £80 million, which is huge for us. That's giant. There you go. That's your Osimhen money. But it's just I'm so happy that I feel so up for this, and I can see it in our numbers. So on United District, our numbers in the last few days have really gone up because people are suddenly up for the game again.
It's nice to have something to feel excited about, but also if we're talking about potential number 10 signings. Cherky audition, anybody?
Yeah, so this is something the comments actually just brought up and said, who was it? Let me shout them out. Amos said, I think we really need to sort out the number 10 positions. What do you think about Cherky?
Cherky, I think, is so incredibly talented. I think if you can just, so when he was younger, there was a lot of concerns about work ethic and stuff. And we know he's not the most active out of possession, but I think if you can get that to like a decent enough level, because all the reports say like the previous concerns about attitude and stuff in the past, I mean, you never know how true they really are, but they say he's much stronger in that regard now. And it's understandable at such a young age, because he was playing for Lyon at like 16. Mm-hmm. It's really difficult, but if you can get his like work rate to a decent level, his talent is ridiculous. Like, we saw Desiree Doué doing for PSG last night. Cherki is that level of talent.
Doué is a ridiculous player, man.
Doué is just like Neymar's son.
It really is. Doué is fantastic.
Cherki, like, in terms of the creativity and stuff, he's like up there with him. Like, his ability with the ball is just ridiculous. And the fact he's like genuinely two-footed as well. Like, he does the most ridiculous things, and it doesn't look like he's even trying.
Yeah.
I think Cherki is like, and because he fits in those kind of wide 10 spaces as well, he's able to drift wide, he's able to come side. Imagine like Cherki's your right 10, Ahmad at right wing back, and you've got Ahmad like running that flank up and down, and then when Ahmad wants to come inside, you've got Cherki to go on the outside, and they can just like link up and combine.
There's so much
potential there.
Skiliano has said, I've never seen Cherki play. Obviously you'll see tonight, because he'll probably start on the right for Lyon tonight. Cherki is very graceful with the ball at his feet. It's kind of hard. So when he came through, 16, 17 years old at Lyon, the immediate comparisons were to Benzema.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a striker, not quite a number 10. He was a bit kind of in the middle, a bit like how Benzema was. Of course, Benzema came up from Lyon and then went to Real Madrid. And so when Cherki was coming through at Lyon, 16, 17 years old, everyone was like, this is just Benzema reincarnated. And I think there was one game, I can't remember who it was, where he got 2 goals and 2 assists. I think he'd just turned 17 or something. He was 16 years old in League One. And everyone was just like, that's crazy. And then he signed a 3-year deal with Lyon, and then he didn't quite kick on because he started so early. Lyon have also, in the last 4 or 5 years, taken a real nosedive. Yeah. Finances wise, there's been so many issues with their owners and changing owners and all that stuff. And Cherki, I think, has suffered as a consequence. But at the same time, it means that he's kind of, after his initial real burst, he kind of like everything quietened down. And now he's with the France under-21s. He's 21 years old himself. In the last few months, especially this season, since the turn of the year, he's really kicked up a gear. Yeah. And he looks a much more composed, better player. There are questions about his physicality, but saying that, League One is probably the most physical league and the most like the Premier League in terms of physicality in Europe after the Premier League.
100%.
Because like the Bundesliga is chaos, La Liga is very technical, Serie A is very, I don't know how to describe Serie A.
It's like very technical, very tactical.
Yeah.
Not quite as technical as Spain, but the tactics in Serie A are really interesting.
Yeah, but League One is it's a very physical league. And like you see that with like the PSG players, right? Aston Villa is one of the hardest working teams in the Premier League. PSG tore them to pieces yesterday with sheer technical ability.
Vitinha, I genuinely think he might be the best midfielder in the world.
Vitinha, you reckon?
Genuinely might be the best midfielder in the world.
It's like, do you remember when, it's like PSG always have that, don't they? They have, before, like they had Verratti before, who was just immense for a number of seasons. I think even Motta was quite good when he was there. But Cherki is a very graceful player.
And he's available for really cheap too, so it's like...
25 million release clause.
It's not a risky signing at all. Like, we'd be paying less, pretty much like what we paid for Dorgu, for Rayan Cherki.
Sorry, I was completely reading the comments there. It's around about the same price. Yeah. And he's 20, Dorgu's 20, Cherki's... But I would caveat that by saying, is that not just aiding to the whole talent with no one to guide them issue? I mean, or do you think it's different for Cherki because he's had people like Bruno
he's got Bruno Fernandes. And, I think there's a possibility Casemiro might stay in the summer as well.
I can kind of see it, Yeah. I know you've been banging on about Casemiro for ages, and honestly, I was not sold on it at all. But now that Amorim's starting to learn how to use Casemiro, and I think the same thing will happen with Mainu now that he's back. Amorim's going to now learn properly how to use Mainu. I can see it. I can see Casemiro. I can see United kind of just accepting that Casemiro is going to drain money from the club, and they're just going to have to work around it.
I think also Casemiro and Mainu work together.
Huh?
Casemiro and Mainu work together.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, didn't we? Yeah. Saying that like now that Casemiro plays in a more compact version of Amorim's midfield, you put Mainu in that compact stuff as well, or play him up further up in front. there's players around him and he doesn't have to run as far.
I can also just say that photo of Menu, he was ridiculously huge.
Yeah, that was
Literally.
that was actually our bad. That was just a screenshot from United's open training session thing.
Bro, his traps were like up here.
Yeah, Manu isn't actually that big. I want to caveat this. That was we took a screenshot and it happened to be the 1 second the wind kicked up. And I think that tweet's now on about 1.5 million views.
My God.
Mostly thanks to Harrison, because Harrison quoted it. And his tweet's on now about 1 million views. But yeah, so
no, I think definitely huge game tonight, and hopefully Matic gets run around a little bit. You know, respect for what he did here, but hopefully Matic gets around. No, did you see Onana's tweet as well, where he was like, "At least I've won a trophy with the biggest club in the world."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I love it.
Get
I'm
back
so
at him.
down for it. Like people are clowning Matic or clowning Onana, being like, "Oh, why are you talking big man? You've not done anything." Blah blah blah. But this is what I like. This is what we like. So, like, if you don't like this kind of stuff, you would not have been able to cope through Pete Mourinho and Sir Alex Ferguson, right? Yeah, would take shots all the time at people. It's because he was the best, right? That's fair. Mourinho was just arrogant. He's taking shots. But this is what part of what football's about. It's an entertainment. It's the biggest entertainment industry in the world, right? Or at least the biggest sport one. I want to be entertained. I don't care about people.
Forget this Pep hugging at the end of games nonsense.
Nah, screw it, man.
Give me.
I want shots. I want media rhetorics. I want storylines. This is what I like about football. Part of the reason I like football, it's the storylines, right? It's just so much fun. It gets me up for it. It gets me excited. I want to sit there with Onana going, "Oh yeah, Lyon will be a big test. They're fifth in League One and they're fighting for this, and it'll be a good game." Boring. I'm bored. This is why I like Amram as well, because he's animated and fun in his press conferences. I don't want these boring interviews about going, "Oh yeah, media train stuff." Blah, blah. I want people to be like, "No, we're better than them. We're going to beat them." Blah, blah. And then I want them to reply, and I want them to get fired up, and I want the game to be fun. It's meant to be fun. I want to be entertained. And so everyone, when they're just blabbing on about kind of, "Oh, he shouldn't be saying this. He can't say this. What has he won? What has he won?" But shh.
Go away.
Quiet. Let me have fun. Yeah. When football mimics WWE, love to see it. Skillian also mentioned Keane versus Vieira. Like this is the era.
This is incredible.
This is where football is at its peak. Because it's made a Europa League quarter-final tie feel quality and interesting. And I'm more up for this game than I was the Manchester derby.
There's probably to be fair, that Manchester derby was so boring.
But even before the Manchester derby, admittedly I didn't actually watch it. But it was kind of just like, "Oh, it's a Manchester derby."
Hey, have you seen? Oh no, you because you were at the Brighton Marathon. Did you see that? She's actually a lecturer at my old university. Completed it under 3 hours, hungover, wearing a chicken costume.
I saw the chicken costume.
Yeah, she was hungover for like a hen do or something, and she completed a marathon in under 3 hours.
I did not know that second bit. That's outrageous. Under 3 hours?
Yes.
That's so fast. So yeah, that's because my mate who did it in 5 hours 20. And admittedly, it was a hot sunny day. It was so hot in Brighton. Okay, let's move on. Yeah. Second part is I want to talk about who should be starting for United. And I'm really, 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 really hope that Mason Mount starts.
I hope that the front three is Xerxes, Mount, and Højlund.
I like that.
I'm dropping Garnacho.
Oh yeah, no, I think Garnacho needs to be dropped. Because mainly just because like Garnacho, it's one of the thing of like I can see why Amorim does like, because in press conferences Amorim is very eager to praise Garnacho for stuff. I can see why. So for example, against who did we lose to? Forest. Garnacho was so frustrating, but there are also he tried. He tried and he created 5 chances. Pretty good. I know, and it's just I think Garnacho should be dropped. Not necessarily because it's better for the team, but just it's probably better for him.
I think it's better for the team, to be honest.
Yeah, true. I want to see Mount start because Amorim's been saying the last couple of weeks, Mount is ready to play, right? He's ready to start. He's ready to do whatever we need him to, but we need to manage his minutes. If I can see Mount get 70 minutes, be on the start, would you start him on the right or left?
I'll go right.
I would rather see him start on the left.
See, I was thinking right, but I do quite like how I feel like Xerxes play. I don't mind either, to be honest. I think like Xerxes played really well on the left at points, and it opens the game more. And I feel like Xerxes got more creativity about him than Mount. But No, I don't mind that, to be fair. I don't mind Mount on the left.
I think Mount on the left will be best beneficial to the team because of Dorgu.
Yeah.
Because Dorgu, like, it's become a bit of a running thing that Garnacho just doesn't seem to pass to him because Garnacho is a very goal first person.
Yeah.
Mount is a very 1-2 touch, but like Mount doesn't necessarily care about making sure he gets a goal and making sure he gets an assist. Right? He's about ball progression. He's about keeping the ball 1-2 touches, look up, get it forward. That's what I like about Mount. And I think that'll benefit Dorgu a lot, especially if Dorgu is... Because I think we're going to be attacking in this game, right? Well, at least I hope we are. I hope the fullback is going to be in line with the midfield. I think Bruno and Casemiro in the back two, and then I think hopefully the wing-backs on that side. Because you've got Dorgu on one side, Dalot on the other side. I don't think Dalot needs to be passed the ball as much as Dorgu should be. And so having Xerxes on the right, who naturally is a very combining person, he'll naturally combine with Dalot. I think Amorim playing Mount will help Dorgu get into the game much better. And I think Dorgu will be looked for by Mount. Like Mount will look to actually get the ball to him because the wide outlet, and then Mount will either kind of be on the edge of the box or anything. You'll then have Højlund in the area. If Dorgu's then coming down and running, you've got Højlund in the middle and Xerxes maybe at the back post.
Yeah.
2 6-foot strikers.
What was I going to say? I think Mount also, because of the work he does out of possession, will be really important as well. So I could see something a little bit similar. Do you remember I think it was the Pilsen game the one where Mainu and Eriksen played in the 10 and Bruno in the midfield.
Yeah.
And when we had Collier kind of almost sitting as a 1, and then you had a free of like Fernandes with Mainu and Eriksen either side of him, and Fernandes got to play in that central spot right behind the striker. I could see something like that with Mount and Xerxes either side of him this time instead of Mainu and Eriksen, and I feel like that would actually be pretty good.
Do you think that leaves Casemiro with a bit too much to do?
Well, the thing is then we can drop in, so if you manage the space well enough, then no. And I think because Casemiro has been sitting as that 1 in possession for us in this recent run of form where he's been a lot better, but you just have to make sure he's not as exposed out of possession. But just by having them more compact in terms of how close they are to each other.
Yeah.
But I could see, because then you let Bruno play a little bit forward, and you can also always have Mount drop in and Bruno goes forward. Like there's opportunity to rotate, and that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I'd like to see is obviously Onana in goal. What Amorim said that Onana is starting. Onana in goal. I really hope with Yoro Maswari, Yoro's on the left.
Yeah.
I've been banging on about this. I want someone to ask Bruno about it because I don't know why he starts Maswari on the left sometimes. It's a bit bizarre.
I think Maswari's done well on the left for the most part.
I just think
Yoro's been better on the left.
Yoro has been so much better on the left, and Maswari is better on the right than he is on the left. Yeah. I don't get, like, against Forest, I don't think Alanga scores if Yoro's on the left.
To be fair, that goal I think is actually more than anything just because No, I don't think that was because of Yoro Masraoui. Because I think even if Yoro Masraoui on the left, we have to remember it was a corner. Yoro was going to go up because he's massive. Masraoui was going to stay back. It was,
I don't know. I do feel like Alanga wouldn't have been able to score as easily as he did if he was facing Yoro in that specific scenario.
But did you see? I see. There was that one chance where he got away from Yoro a little bit, and Yoro just.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And in the 85th minute, when Alanga was pretty much identically through on goal and Yoro got him. But that's by the by. Then Maguire will be middle centre back because Delap's not playing. Dorgu and Dalot on the wings, Bruno and Casemiro in the middle, Xerxes on the right, Mount on the left, and then Højlund up top.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
I think most people kind of agree that's the best team to play, to be honest.
Yeah. But what do you think about Xerxes playing up front? Because he played up front against City, and Amorim in his pre-match presser said that he thinks Xerxes is improving as a striker.
He is a bit, but I just think Xerxes looks so much better in the 10 in this team.
I agree.
I think so much better. And also, I thought he took Højlund off at a bad time because at the time, I personally would have brought Xerxes on for Garnacho because Garnacho, again, wasn't playing well. Højlund was not too involved, but he was quite efficient, like with his touches and stuff. A few of our good transitions, Højlund was laying off to Fernandes, and then we were setting off. He was not that involved, but he was efficient. And I thought when Fernandes got deeper and the diagonal ball was on, I thought it would have been really beneficial to have Højlund up front and then Xerxes kind of playing off him, rather than Garnacho. And especially because you could see there were points where we got into good positions, but no one was really in the box the way Højlund would have been in the box, occupying it. So he's improving as a striker. I just think Xerxes in this team is so much better as a 10. I think he looks really good.
He suits it. I really think he suits it.
Really, really well.
I think he's doing now the kind of role that he plays in the 10 is actually something that Scott McTominay would have been quite good at. I know, because McTominay's come out recently, and McTominay said he feels like he's completely misprofiled in his early years at United.
That was a good interview, to be fair.
It was a great interview, but I know we sold McTominay, but I feel like Xerxes now is in a position that McTominay would have done well, and I think Xerxes does better in that role than McTominay would have, because Xerxes is just so good with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
McTominay wasn't as flashy and fantastic with the ball at his feet. He was great positioning-wise, ridiculous strike on him. You know, if you combine those two players, if you were to give Xerxes McTominay's
urgency
final touch
and ball striking,
unreal, and then have them at what they're both like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
Well, damn it. So, yeah, no, I like Xerxes on the right, and I think once Ahmad comes back, and you've got Xerxes, Ahmad, Mainu, Bruno, and Mount as attacking options, and then you add someone to the summer. And then I'm not including Garnacho in that list because I genuinely have no clue what's going to happen with him in the summer. But let's say you then add someone with experience or someone like Cherky in that position. Suddenly, I do think, to be fair, our creativeness will get so much better. Because I think Ahmad, from now on, under Amorim, is going to continually switch between the right wing back and right 10 cross. I don't think he's going to be nailed down in either of them because he's so good at both. I really do. Because there's going to be some games where we want to play with Dorgu and Ahmad, both at wing backs, and we're just flying at people. And there are going to be games where we're going to want to play maybe an improved Amas at left wing back and Dallo at right back or something. To be more a little bit compact if we feel like we need to play a game where we're just like sat there and absorbing pressure. But no, I'm so up for tonight, and I'm going to ask you for your score prediction, as I always do.
I'm going to go with 3-1 United, actually.
I was going to say the same thing. Because Lyon's attack is quite good, actually, but their defence is pretty poor. Our attack could be quite good if Mason Mount starts. And I don't know about Onana keeping a clean sheet. If he does, that'll be hilarious. I'd love it. If he keeps a clean sheet over both legs, just hilarious. And then goes on to win the Europa League trophy at Nemanja Matic. But I'm also going to go with 3-1. Who do you think is going to score?
Fernandes will score.
Yep.
I'm going to go Fernandes, Mount, and Højlund.
Mason Mount scores, bro. I'm going to be so happy. But yeah, no, I'm going to go, You know what I'm going to say? Really rogue shout. I reckon Dorgu's going to get a goal. Hey, he's got himself in decent position, in actually some semi-okay goal-scoring positions in the last couple of weeks, you know.
To be fair,
he has.
So Dorgu, who else?
I think Dorgu, Bruno, and I'm going to go Xerxes.
Yeah, I was thinking about Xerxes.
Højlund 2 assists. No, he's not going to. I think, if Mount scores, that'd be great. I don't see Mount scoring, but I really do see Dorgu scoring. Because he does fly into that box at times, and he does get himself in some half decent. His shot he's not had a good one yet, but his ball striking needs to improve. He's 20, it's fine. Like he's the same age as Garnacho, man. He's like only a bit older than Mainu. Yeah. Like I don't see that as an issue with Dorgu. But yeah, either way, Yusuf, thank you so much for coming on this week. Let's really, really hope that we'll come on here previewing next week's game, same time as always. With a 3-1 aggregate lead, we're sat there, we're chilling after smashing Newcastle on the weekend as well.
Enjoying myself. Sunglasses.
Yeah, you're going to be loving that drive up for the evening. Are you then going to drive back on that night? Oh, you're going to go back at 3 in the morning or something? Grim!
However many times now.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough, Grim. But yeah, Yusuf, thank you for coming on. You guys, thank you so much for watching if you've watched the entire programme, or if you've just, dipped in and out, or you've just dipped in, or if you've missed a lot of what we've spoken about so far. We've been live since about 12:30. The whole podcast is going to go immediately on the United View YouTube channel, ready to watch. Let us know what you think about the striker targets, what we've spoken about with respect to, signing talented players versus experienced players. Was Matic correct with what he says? Is Onana fair enough with his replies? Should Mason Mount start? And apart from that, we will see you at 12:30 next Thursday to preview the second leg of the Europa League tie. See you then.